Well, we're straight into the action of the Tour de Ski. Apologies for the slightly late arrival. I think the FIS and the IBU need to have a slightly better chat at pre-season to get the timings right. The men's last leg of the Tour de Ski is underway. Northug out leading the way at the moment, just a fraction ahead of Sundby, who has closed down that 3-second advantage that Northug had. Halvorsen and Beloff both in no man's land at the start of today, but as you can see, Beloff working hard to close down on Halvorsen and get not a free ride, but a cheaper ride than he might otherwise get to the base of the climb. And Mike, I guess at this stage we're just speculating. An interesting course, a 1.8 kilometre lap back through the stadium, and then they head for the Alpchemies.
They do. Well, from leaving the stadium after this 1.8, it's very flat, in fact gently downhill for the next 4 kilometres, and then you've got this massive climb with a direct climb of 405 metres in a oneer.
Now the three-time winner of the Tour, Dario Cologna, about to come through 1.8. I can tell you he started 1:46 off the pace of the leaders. His times on the climb are generally very good, but it doesn't help him that he's absolutely in no man's land. He's over a minute behind Beloff, and he's 20 seconds clear of Alexei Polteranin, who's going to be no help to him whatsoever on the climb. He's got to do it on his own if he wants to win today, but he's lost 4 seconds on the leaders already.
As you say, that no man's land, it certainly doesn't help you, and I think he's been a little unlucky during the Tour de Ski. We saw that in the sprint races at home for him. It could have been better there, and missing out by a toenail's length to make it into the finals and semi-finals.
Nicholas Deerhaug, who started behind Polteranin, he's gained 9 seconds and overtaken the Kazakh, who's a much better freestyle skier than much better classic skier than he is freestyle. Further down the order, Vilizhanin of Russia wearing 8. He's certainly a man who could climb up the order. Roland Clara of Italy in the red is a brilliant climber wearing bib number 9. Danny Rickardson, the big man at the back, if he's quick on the Alpchemies, I would be massively surprised. He's such a big man, and the one thing you want for the climb, Mike, is minimal body weight.
When you're lifting your body in direct line up an alpine downhill racing slope, 405 metre rise, you need a light body weight and absolute strength as well. He
wasn't bad actually last year. Having said that, he was only 1 second slower than Petter Northug, but Northug's a big man as well. Sundby 32.49 last year, Petter Northug 33.50, and the margins between the athletes change very little year on year. So although Northug has the lead over Sundby, he did when he came through 1.8, slightly surprised that he hadn't nipped in behind Sundby to get some help on the first stage, but I think Sundby's going to get his own back for that leg in Toblach where Northug did no work until the last 400 metres.
Well, and he said he didn't feel good that day, so he just hung on in behind Belov and of course Sundby and Halvorsen, and then, as you say, only did the lead when it mattered most.
Now the wave has just started, and we're waiting to see how Andrew Musgrave gets on. He started number 22, 4:47 behind. And the wave, Mike, starting at what stage of the race?
The wave, well, they're starting at 7 minutes back with Yaparov, so bib 32 backwards to bib 47. That's all that's left in the Tour.
Well, here are the two leaders, and Sundby.
I'm quite surprised with this, Patrick.
Well, tactically, Sundby's playing it right. Northug's going to have to pretend his laces are undone to get Sundby to go through, I think.
Quite right, Sundby. I think that's the perfect strategy.
Yeah, there's no real pressure from behind. Kalle Halvorsen of Sweden has lost a little bit of ground early on. Dario Cologna there before the start. He's let too much time slip, I think, to stand a chance. Where did it go wrong for Dario Cologna? He won the prologue, and we all thought, here we go again, win number 4 of the Tour.
It looked like he was absolutely in form there. He didn't pick up the bonus seconds in the classic, the first classic day, although he was with the pack, but he got his strategy wrong. He was certainly good enough to have come top 3.
Halvorsen has lost 9 seconds. Beloff has lost just 2 to the race leaders, so they look as though they're in a fight for 3rd place, but they're going to have to watch out because Dario Cologna is a quick climber and he might just have his eye on the podium.
Well, there's the group start at 7 minutes, the wave.
We're not going to see too much of them on the way round. the good climbers, Mike. I put an asterisk next to those who I think we should watch out for. Curtin Pearl of Switzerland, he's been fairly sharp on the climb. He did 31.02 a couple of years ago. He's wearing number 30. We've got Maurice Magnificat, brilliant freestyle skier, great climber, and a man who helped Andrew Musgrave to the fastest time in Toblach. Magnificat starts 26. He is capable of going under 31 minutes, so watch out for him. And of course, Andrew Musgrave, we're all keeping an eye out for him. As I mentioned, he started number 22 today, looking to get into the top 15 of the Tour. That would be a sensational result if he manages that.
It would totally, where he is right now is sensational, and the fact that he had the fastest ski time, over 15 kilometers, as you mentioned, in Toblach, that was just the best ever. It's incredible what he did that day.
Well, Derek Colonia has made no ground up on Halvorsen or Beloff. In fact, he's lost a second to Halvorsen of Sweden in the first 4 kilometre stage, but he doesn't need to worry about that. It's all about the climb, and I guess Colonia just wants to arrive at the base of the hill as fresh as possible, and then he can start to ply his trade on the climb. There's Danny Rickardson. He's still with this group, but maybe not for long. Jespersen there for Norway, number 11. He's a good climber, should be able to gain a couple of places today. And Marcus Hellner likewise. Welcome back to the final stage of the Tour de Ski. Apologies once again for just arriving slightly late. Part of the reason is that the women's biathlon took longer than normal. The conditions in Oberhof very, very difficult indeed. The leading skiers missing more targets than usual, and hence the men's race was underway. But the real meat of this race hasn't started yet, Mike. It's a little bit tactical at the moment. I think we can see Andrew Musgrave there just in the background. There he is, number 22. Watch out for his time and his position. He's got himself from 22nd up into 18th. He's 4:26, and you can see another 5 seconds, and Andrew Musgrave is going to move up closer to that top 15.
But my calculations, Patrick, Muzzy is the fastest skier to this point. Hellner was plus 12, because Northug is really pushing the pace at the front. He knows he has to gain even more time on the flat, Northug, and that's why he's leading Sundby, so that when it comes to the hill, Northug is expecting to drop back, I'm quite sure.
He was leading Sundby. Sundby now takes control as the hill climbs, and this is where the pain starts for Peder Northug. This is a classic example. Look at the techniques. The upper body of Sundby, beautifully smooth. Most of the work, probably 80% of the work, coming out of the legs. Peder Northug still relying on that upper body strength, and he's got some fight in his legs at the moment. There's a little bit of spring there, but it won't last, because it can't last.
Well, it means so much to him though, Patrick. Is it not possible that he can use his normal strategy, hang on in behind Sundby and try and survive the pain? It might be possible. Unlikely, but might be possible.
Well, it's a different situation to last year, isn't it? Where Northug had to work very hard on the first flat section to close down on Sundby and put him under pressure. But it was only 200 metres into the climb when Sundby started to pull clear. I'm afraid, Mike, this is such a good indicator of your capacity.
It is.
And also your technique. And Northug's technique hasn't changed one year from the other. And the man whose technique has improved is Sundby's. And I don't think it's going to be long before we see Sundby pull clear of Northug. The question for me is which one of these two is going to win? And can either of them, or both of them, catch Peder Northug and push him off the podium?
Well, look at the pacing that Northug, clever as usual. His strategies are brilliant. He's taken what?
20 seconds.
20 seconds out of them already. And but I do think these two will try and work together and try and close down, maybe even catch Northug.
So they're pretty much running at their VO2 max on this climb, and they're not going. You can't do anything about that. That's that's your God-given capacity, and they've trained it to the absolute limit. But Yevgeny Belov is the unknown quantity for me, Mike. We haven't seen him in the Tour at this stage before. Unbelievably, Sundby's only done one Tour, and he won it. So he's looking to make it 2 out of 2, and there he is, wearing bib number 2. Already some 7-8 metres clear of Peder Northug, and this is going to make it mentally very, very tough for Peder Northug. He already has to admit defeat.
Game over, totally game over. Well, you never can say game over with, another 15 minutes of the race left, but that's a huge breakaway from Sundby.
V2 or V1? in terms of technique. Sumbi going far further up the hill using V2.
It builds your lactic even higher, but Sumbi was nice and choppy with the technique. I would go V2 if you're strong enough up there, without a doubt.
Can Cologne get a podium? There's your answer. He's 2:09 behind, having started 1:46 behind. So he's got a big fight on his hands. Polteranen, he was always going to be okay on the flat section, but this is when he's going to be tested to the full. Nicholas Deerhaug, another good season for him. Top 5 possible, I think, for Deerhaug at 2:20. He might fancy taking the scalp of Dario Cologne. Now that's a good shot. Sumbi leading the way, and that 5-metre advantage has gone to 25 metres over Petter Northug. There's no doubt that Halvorsen and Beloff will see this happening in front of them. Now, Mike, the last split we had for Halvorsen and Beloff, the margin between Petter Northug, so we can get some idea.
It was back to 46.9, so nearly 47 seconds. But as you say, they're seeing Northug ahead of them, and that's got to feed them. The chase is definitely on.
Well, nice to see some fans down the lower part of the course, and more than we've ever seen at this stage of the Tour. 46-47, they have closed it significantly. Not only that, they've closed down on Sumbi as well, 42 and 43, but they're now within 30 of Petter Northug in that second place. Welcome back to the final day of the Tour de Ski. The men going first today, they've been out on the tracks for just over 15 minutes, and Dario Cologne going through at 2:17, so he's still losing ground despite the fact that the climb has started, and that's where he's usually so good. Deerhaug of Norway started 2:12 off the race leaders, but he started some 28 seconds behind Dario Cologne. He's got a lot closer than that. Polteranen doing well to hang on to this stage, actually, Mike, but I think we might see his technique fall apart as this hill steepens and goes on and on and on.
Well, just looking further back, Mussey's gone through the third checkpoint. He's riding 3 seconds faster than Sumbi, who's now really opened up the pace, second fastest at the moment.
Steepest section of the course for Sumbi, and he's got a lead of 30 seconds over Petter Northug. I don't think Sumbi's victory is in doubt unless he's gone too hard early on. Remember, these two leaders made 20 seconds up on Halvorsen and Beloff on the flat, Mike. Not always the best move. Now, this looks painful. This is Halvorsen trying to close down on Northug, but it looks as though his lactate levels are going through the roof. Beloff not doing too much better, otherwise I think he'd move to his left and come through.
But look who's just in front of them. Not far, probably still 15, 17 seconds. And Sumbi had a good look back, just like Northug will, he did.
Yeah. Well, I think Northug's got something to fight for now. He's had to cope with the fact that he has to accept defeat through the zigzags. This is the steepest part. Good footwork there from Petter Northug. Let's see how Halvorsen and Beloff cope with the turns.
And so important, third place gets 30,000 Swiss francs, fourth place gets 17,500. So a lot to fight for between Beloff and Halvorsen, but they're chasing Northug.
Well, the winner of the Tour picking up 90,000 Swiss francs, plus of course all the stage money that they've picked up on the way. Sumbi hasn't won so many stages, so he hasn't made a massive gain, but he will also get 400 World Cup points, which to men with earning capacity like these two men, the prize money is irrelevant compared to the World Cup points, which the winner of the Tour more often than not goes on to win the overall World Cup at the end of the season. And Sumbi, with a healthy lead coming into the Tour, is going to be in a very, very comfortable position.
I think Sumbi is in his mind saying, okay, back off, I've got a safe and sound lead, I just need to recover. He's had 2 big long looks back, and I think he's thinking as well that Northug might be absorbed.
Well, I'm still not convinced by that. I think Halvorsen's going well, but
they need to pick it up. They really need to pick it up. 8.1 kilometers.
9 kilometers, remember, the total distance for this race, so 900 meters to go for Sumbi. I had a look at the timings, Mike. They did 25 kilometers an hour to the base of the climb. They're now doing 10.9 kilometers an hour, but that's a phenomenal fact in itself, that they can climb a hill like this at 10k an hour. Incredible work. Sumbi certainly going that little bit faster than Petter Northug.
And I think as well, on top of the fact that this is the 7th day of racing in 9 very intense days, having travelled somewhat 1,000 kilometres in the process, it's been a very hard 9 days for these athletes.
Now what we want is Petter Northug to come into the last 100 metres in 2nd place with both Halvorsen and Beloff right on his heels to see whether the great man can raise a sprint for the closing stages. 8.1 completed. Northug goes through 33 seconds off the mark. Now Halvorsen and Beloff, Mike, from a deficit of...
They were 46.9 the last check we had. That's on Sundby, but look how close they are getting into Northug.
Yeah, still 17 seconds. It's going to be a big 17 seconds. Halvorsen is not skiing quite as well as the race leader, Sundby.
I know he's a huge athlete, but it's always more beneficial. At what, 28% is a hell of a slope. It's just so steep, but you need tempo, you need a cadence here.
Northug, I think, has just accelerated a little. He's still moving quite nicely. They can see the climb disappearing. A couple of full summits here on the Alpe d'Huez, which make the psychological game even harder. So, Sundby looking reasonably fresh. You have to give him a special credit. He's like those golfers. I think Nick Faldo one year completely gave up his position in the world to rebuild his technique, and he came back a much better golfer. Sundby has done the same with skiing. He realised that he was never going to get anywhere in the Tour or the World Cup standings if he couldn't skate, and he's gone back and he's perfected it. And for me, the best freestyle skier out there now.
An amazing turnaround, and you're right, he couldn't compete with the best, anywhere near with the best. I'm just thinking for the British fans, Muzzy is now up into 16th place, and I think he's got the potential for a 13th at least place at the end of the day.
Roland Clara, I think it is, leading that group behind. He's gone ahead of Niklas Dyrhaug of Norway. Roland Clara always gets a good time on the climb. He was the fastest, I think, 31 minutes he's done before, so he knows that he can gain ground. Now he's chasing down Dario Cologna, and he might just bring Dyrhaug with him. Number 6, Polteranen. Credit to Polteranen. I thought he would have been blown away by this stage. And what about the big man, number 10, Danny Rickardson, still hanging in there and holding off Chris Andre Jespersen, who's a very good climber indeed. So Rickardson won't be enjoying it, and I wonder how long does it take a big man to recover from this sort of effort?
Well, it's huge, and a lot of these lads, Jespersen's a giant of a man. Of course, Rickardson is as well. The smallest frame in this group is surely Roland Clara at the front of this group.
Well, the alternate skate, or the penguin skate for Roland Clara, but he's still moving nicely. Dyrhaug just settling in behind. Good battle between these three. Martin Jonsrud Sundby closing in on the finish. He's should only have 400 metres to go. Here he is, another steep section, but the increasing crowd numbers, an indication to Sundby that he's getting closer and closer to the top. He has, of course, been here before. He won this last year. It's only his 2nd time at attempting the Tour, and he's going to make it 2 out of 2. Round the zigzag, then he turns to his left again and starts to climb towards the summit of the Alpe d'Huez, and what surely now is going to be his 2nd victory. 90,000 Swiss francs waiting, 400 World Cup points on offer if he can make it, and a great start to his season. Northug, after 2nd place again, you have to feel for Northug. I know you don't always approve of his antics, Mike, but look at his results. 4th, 8th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 3rd, and he's surely, well, he's going to be 2nd, 3rd or 4th this year as well.
I totally respect him. He's a phenomenal athlete, and I thought the little extra today, his mum and his dad are on the plateau just before the finish line here. They were really hoping he could challenge and beat this man, but it's not possible.
No, he needed to be where Bjørgen is in the Women's Tour, over 2 minutes clear of everyone. That would have given him a chance. A minute 30 would have given him a very good chance. Northug's still there in 2nd. Give him credit for that. He's not given up the fight against Halvorsen and Beloff, but Beloff, I think, has gone ahead of Halvorsen at last, so Beloff's making a charge, and Northug's going to have to raise his game if he wants to finish in second place, because Beloff is closing fast.
Well, it's less than 5 minutes of racing left, and Beloff really needs to put in an amazing attack if he can survive the discomfort.
Well, we'll see. Here we go. From 35 to 45, he's only 10 seconds behind. 10 seconds to gain in the last 500 metres. He's gained 10 seconds in the last 400, so it looks very much as though Beloff could finish in runners-up position. Of course, Legkoff won 2 years ago. Halvorsen, he's fought and he's fought and he's fought, maybe doing too much of the work when he was paired up with Beloff. Maybe he should have let the Russian go through earlier on.
On the 15-kilometre as well, 2 days ago, Halvorsen and Beloff took on so much of the front work, which is definitely, when you're travelling at 30 kilometres an hour, it's so much more difficult at the front.
Well, you have to admire Beloff, Mike. He took a big fall yesterday. That really damaged his chances. He finished down in 17th place, where we were expecting him to finish in the top three. He didn't recover from the fall quite like Dario Colonia did.
And in a sense, and Sundby for me is just the ultimate. His psychology for me is the best. He never gives in. He never whinges about any situation. He fell yesterday as well, got straight back up, knowing how important it was to get these bonus sprint seconds.
Yeah, it was amazing how quickly he made contact and actually came through to the front of the field again, having fallen on the fastest section of the course. Northug, I think, has sensed that Beloff is coming, and that looks a little fresher action from him. 27:35 on the clock at the moment. The winning time on the climb last year. The fastest time, I think Maurice Magnificat was one of the fastest.
Well, Beloff has tried to make an impression. He's still got a little work to do. I'm not sure it's possible given the distance left to the finish line.
31:58 was the fastest time last year. That was Chris-Andre Jespersen, but Jespersen hasn't really come through the standings as we thought. Last time he was up into 9th, 2:48 off the leaders, and Jespersen started 2:50, so he's moving at roughly the same speed as Sundby, just 2 seconds slower. We'll give you an update on Andrew Musgrave, who's on the climb at the moment. We haven't seen him. We will see him later on. Once the two leaders, or the three leaders, have finished, then we'll switch back down through the field, hoping that Musgrave can get himself into the top 15.
At the last check, he's gone from 21st now to 17th, so he's dropped down one, but he's got 3 seconds to get Eldarid Roning. Surely he can get Roning.
Roning, Volsentseth, who's another 10 seconds further ahead. Top 15 still possible then for Musgrave, but it's going to require some real grit and determination. But if anyone's got it, he has. Well, have we ever seen a man cruise into the finish at the Alchemies? Not quite like Sundby is doing now. He's been there before. He's done it again. 2 successive victories in the Tour de Ski. He doesn't match Dario Colonia, who has 3 wins to his name, but no one has raced to 1-2.
He's just so brilliant. As you said, he's worked on his freestyle. It's better, as strong or better than anybody's, and his whole mindset, his push, and he's even sprinting well now.
Well, he joins a very elite group. Toby Angera, Dario Colonia, of course, Lucas Bauer, who's won, Alexander Legkoff, and now Martin Jonsrud Sundby for the second time. 29:27. That is the quickest we've ever seen on the climb, and I don't think it's down to the conditions completely. I think it's down to the competition. Northug, he's back on the podium, Mike. He's going to finish second for the 4th time, and he's going to be on the podium for the 6th time. He's the only man to have raced every Tour de Ski and to have finished in the top 10 of every race, and he's finished, as we mentioned, on the podium more often than not. All credit to this man. Like him or hate him, you have to admire him. 34 seconds down, great race, and did so well to hold off the charge from Beloff.
Oh, as always, he is such an impressive athlete. He never gives in. He'll fight till the line, he'll drop, and he'll stay there for 5 minutes.
No, I was going to say he'll probably be there tomorrow morning. Beloff 3rd place, well done. We didn't know what he could do on the climb. He's just shown us 51 off the leaders, having started 35 behind Sundby, so not quite as quick as we saw from Sundby on the climb. Halvorsen, he gave it a good go, a really good go. 1:04 behind in the end, having started 26.8. Beloff, Mike, could so easily have finished second if he hadn't fallen yesterday.
Oh, definitely, and maybe even had a chance for the first.
He might have taken, yeah, he might well have taken on Sundby. The former champion, Dario Colonia. It's now 3 years since he Well, welcome back to the Alpe d'Huez. Roland Clara just comes across the line, and I know he's down in 6th place, but he is celebrating because he has produced the fastest time so far on the climb. He's taken 14 seconds out of Petter Northug and out of Sundby. He's taken a lot more out of Petter Northug. So a great final charge from Roland Clara. I think the Italian coaches deserve credit because they told him that he was in a position to take the fastest time today. Number 11 is Jespersen, who started 2:50 off the pace of the leaders. He loses some 19 seconds to Sundby and loses, 34 to Roland Clara. I was expecting to see more from Jespersen, the fastest climber on the hill last year. Viljanin, the second Russian across the line, 3:25 down, drops from 8th to 10th in today's race. And here comes Danny Rickardson, Man Mountain himself, finds the ascent of the Alpe d'Huez just a little bit too much. 3:36 behind, so he loses almost a minute to the man in the middle of this picture, Sundby, the champion of the Tour de Ski. Northug, Mike, I can't see him winning the Tour de Ski until they have the same finishing day as the Tour de France, where the leader into the last day stays the leader.
Or if he builds, and it is possible, if he builds that 45-second cushion, 50-second cushion, he can still win the Tour de Ski. And it's so impressive that he's been here all 9 times and having done so well each time.
Tony Livers coming in for Switzerland. Should have been Alex Harvey wearing 16, but Alex Harvey, as we suggested yesterday, deciding not to race today. Didn't want to do the damage to his legs that he feels this sort of a race does. And so Livers coming up. It's been a good effort from Livers. He started 4:32. Oh, he's only 2 seconds outside the time set by Sundby. Brilliant. So he could well be in the prize money in terms of quickest time today.
Andrew Musgrave, Patrick, he's just beginning to fade over this last 800 metres, 1 kilometre. He's dropping back. The place is now 19th position at the last check.
Yeah, we were hoping Andrew was going to make the top 15. Perhaps an error to go so hard on the flat. He was 3 seconds quicker than Sundby to the base of the climb. I know he did exactly the same in Toblach. He had a very fast start and he held it. But Mike, this is a different matter from that 25k in Toblach.
I think he did. He had to go for it. He had the potential to pull all the way up into 13th position if some luck was with him. And I think that's Andrew at the back of this 3 here.
Yeah, so now struggling to make the top 20, but it's still a great effort. 26th last year in the Tour. The highlight for Andrew Musgrave, of course, that the fastest time in the 25k in Toblach. He's shown that he is capable of winning World Cups. It's just not happened today. The tactics, I think, maybe found wanting. Bezmertnik of Russia finishes 19, and that should put Andrew Musgrave into 20th position. He started 22nd today, and he's lost a full minute to Sundby on the climb alone. So he really has struggled, but he's still taken some big scalps. Here's the man who won yesterday. Tim Schanke got a win in the 15 kilometre. He finishes 25th overall. So the last few legs, Mike, he's gone rocketing up the order. He was 73rd in the prologue at the start of the race.
Strange, isn't it? As he said yesterday, he's just found his form. He's found his strength as Schanke. So we must expect great things from him for the rest of the season. And I think it's been a brilliant tour for Musgrave. We've talked a lot about him, and so we should, because he can win now. He can win Tour stages, and he can win World Cup races.
Had a good battle with Eldar Roning today. Roning in the end coming back. He got level with Roning, but then lost out in the closing stages. Larkov coming up. We've got another good finish coming up. Is that De Fabiani raising a sprint into the finish? It may well be. In fact, yes, it is. Yeah, De Fabiani. We saw him. He so nearly got a win in Oberstdorf. The second leg of the Tour was denied a little bit by Halverson. Lost his balance on the last little rise before the sprint for the line and didn't recover in time to stop Petter Northug coming through to take the win. Italy, though, did get a stage win with Pellegrino, who won the sprint in Val Moster. That was an impressive run. Pellegrino, long gone. Didn't fancy the Alpe d'Huez. And I can't believe this sort of a ski does sprinters any good whatsoever.
Not at all. Even Babikov, he has set in the past, 6 years ago, the fastest time on this stage, but not today. Not bad though. He's 36 seconds behind the time of the winner of the tour, of course, Sumbi.
Well, Sumbi's going to pick up some useful points. I still have him down as producing the fastest, second fastest time, Mike. Roland Clara, undoubtedly the fastest ascent, 14 seconds quicker than Sumbi. So a brilliantly paced race. And the Italians have generally been good at this, the final climb. I know I was going to say Desault for a minute. I meant Decenta has been a master of this final climb.
And yesterday we saw Decenta. This could be him now. It is.
Decenta,
it is
9:55. Unable to impress this year.
That's his
worst ever tour, yeah.
Ever from many.
This year's coming from the way start. That's why the times are not really. They have to correct the times a little bit.
Well, my calculation says that Martin Sundby is going to move right to the top of the table.
Today you took it on the hill. Is it possible to say one felt better than the other?
Yeah, for sure. This one is much sweeter. Not just because I took it up the last hill here, but because the competition this year is extremely much harder. So much good skiers this year, and as I predicted, it was going to be a really tight tour, and it resulted to be a tight tour. So the last hill was nerve-wracking, but I'm so happy that I was able to be first this year too.
Any strategy coming into the hill? You had such a, you were just starting behind Petter. Did you go, all right, I'll wait to see where I feel, or you remember the hill and go, yeah, this is where I make my move?
No, actually I felt crap the first couple of Ks today. I just, oh man, the race from yesterday, I felt it so much, but I was able to recover quite a bit down to the beginning of the hill, and from there I knew I could on a good day be stronger than Petter, and I think he did a smart race, but I'm really happy that I was a bit stronger.
Well, congratulations on not only your second victory, but you're also only the second person behind Dario to ever win 2 in a row, so well done.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. Thanks.
Well, maybe he'll be back next year. Apologies for the expletive there. I don't think it will mean quite the same to Jonsrud Sundby as it means to us. You can let him off because he has put in a tremendous effort today. 29:27, the winning time. Very few people go under 30 minutes for that leg. 9 kilometres. But you've got to remember that they climb over 400 metres. They climb 1.5 times the height of the Shard in London on that 9-kilometre leg. And just go and try and walk up to the top of the Shard, or as high as they let you go, and you'll start to understand what they've just been through.
It's an incredible feat of endurance, and especially on the 7th day or the 9th day with 7 days races within that period. It's a real test, and it does find the best cross-country skiers in the world. They float to the top.
Well, Sundby floated all the way today. He never looked troubled. He just kept that technique perfect all the way from bottom to top. One little look over the shoulder, but he knew at this stage that he had it in the bag. 2 World Cup victories. He moves on to 1,226 World Cup points. He can put his feet up for 2 weeks and he'll still be in the yellow bib as the World Cup leader.
And the true sign of a champion, Patrick, when he felt so bad the first 5 kilometres today, he couldn't take the lead. He just had to survive in behind Petter Northug. He felt so tired after what he had to do yesterday, after a very bad fall and having to pick up some 30 seconds in that fall.
Well, he's got all of 6 days to recover before he's got to go to Otepää and the next round of the World Cup in Estonia. I think there'll be a few men who've completed the tour who might just give that a bye, because they'll certainly take more than 5 days to recover from this effort. Beloff delighted with his 3rd place. It was a good fight, but he will not forget the penultimate day of racing. It could have been so much better. He could have challenged for the win today. I don't think there's any doubt about that. So Norway, at the start of last year's tour, had never had a winner, man or woman. They now have 3. Sundby has 2. Of course, Therese Johaug winning the women's tour last year. She's going to try and win it again this year, but it looks as though she might have bitten off too much in the form of Marit Bjørgen, who's looking for her first win. Well,
Marit's got an amazing cushion, and she's worked hard for that safety cushion at the front, but you never know. She might feel so tired today. Unlikely, but Therese Johaug will definitely be chasing.
Well, great crowd. We've been waiting for numbers like this to support the final stage of the Tour de Ski. We're going to take a quick break, but we're going to be back with the overall standings of the Tour. I hope we've got time to bring you the overall standings for the World Cup as well. We can tell you the top three already. Sundby, Northug, Belov, the three podium finishers here in the Tour, with Kalle Halvarsson of Sweden, who fought so hard, ending up in 4th place. Well, here we go with the overall Tour de Ski standings. 3:26.42 in 7 races. Martin Jonsrud Sundby getting under that 3:30 barrier. It takes into account the bonuses as well. Apologies for flicking through the screen so quickly, but as you know, the top 3, Sundby, Northug, Belov, Halvarsson, Dario Colonia finishing in 5, Roland Clara coming through strongly to move from 9th up into 6th. And of course, Niklas Dierhaug in 7th place, with Polteranen, a really respectable 8th. He wasn't expected to do much, and holding off the likes of Jespersen and Villigjanen, who are coming up behind him. So congratulations to Sundby, the champion for 2 years in succession. Dario Colonia's done it. Can he make it 3, which Dario Colonia didn't manage to do?
Well, it's not impossible if he keeps the sharpness, the positivity, and enjoying his skiing so much. I see no reason why he can't do this next year. It's never easy. He said that himself. It's never easy. It's a big unknown.
Well, I'm surprised he's got the energy left for that scream, but the emotion, he can let it out now. It's been a nervous couple of days. He knew there was going to be pressure. Northug, well, he sort of talks himself out of doing well on the Alpe d'Huez, but in 2011, Mike, he had a fantastic ascent to the mountain, and that might have matched somebody if he could have repeated it today.
He did. He had the 5th fastest ski time then, and good to see Belov for the first time at the top of the mountain, the first time, and in 3rd place. Could he win it next year? Yeah,
we'll watch Sundby, we'll watch Belov next year, and now we've got a marker. I think we might see him make an even more serious challenge for the Tour title. And how do you feel? I mean, when the Tour was introduced, a lot of the big names didn't take part. Nowadays, they all want to be there. Where does this stand relative to the World Championship, a World Championship gold?
I think it's there. When you're racing, as the World Championships are, 12 days of racing, of course there's only 5 or 6 races and they can pick and choose. It's very similar. You have to keep an extreme focus over an intense short period of time and produce your best on every single given day, and this for me is equivalent to an Olympic medal.
Well, that's a big statement coming from you. And
it's all the disciplines.
And I'm wondering, like cycling, where a cyclist would rather have a win in the Tour de France than he would a win in the World Championships. I think this is building to that sort of status. And the longer the big names keep taking part, the more likely that is going to happen, because they know how much of a test this is. And it tests all distances and all disciplines.
It really does. And 400 World Cup points, Jonsrud today, 320 for Northug, and well, I think it's a bit slim. Only 240 World Cup points for Belov in 3rd place, and for the 30th position here, you only get 4 points. I would like to see a different shift in the points to reward the athletes for the performances here.
And Northug picks up how many points?
Northug's got 320.
Well, that means, but just a rough calculation, I think Sundby is going to be, 400 points clear at the top of the table at the end of today. I think Northug's just gone ahead of Halvarsson. Belov won't catch Northug, too far behind him prior to the start of today's race. Now, there you see it. Well, we've got it exactly. So, Sundby leads 1:1.89. I was a little generous, not having all the times of the athletes coming in today. Northug on 8:49, so 300 and what was that? 3:31 behind. It's a big margin. So, Sundby can sit out 3 races if he chooses to do so. I don't think he will, but he could, and still be in the yellow bib. Alex Harvey, not racing today, drops down to 12th. Roland Clara, with a brilliant race today, moves up into 13th place in the World Cup standings. I didn't pick up on Musgrave's name on that screen, but Andrew Musgrave in a better position in the world standings than he's ever been. He hits the top 20 in the Tour de Ski for the first time, and he's an athlete that is already taken seriously, but he'll be taken even more seriously from now on.
And he's picked up 44 more World Cup points, so yes, he will certainly move up on his standings prior to coming into this event today. all the athletes, Patrick, have to now manage their next week of training and recovery. And then when do you decide to race next? I'm not sure we'll see too many go to Ottopa next weekend.
Well, the programme in Ottopa is just a sprint, actually, and it's going to be great. We're going to welcome back all those sprinters who decide that the Tour is not for them. And this year, with only one sprint event, it certainly hasn't been designed. And the prologue was extra hard this year, so they wouldn't have fancied their chances in that. So we're going to see the big sprinters in action on the 17th of January. And the next distance race is in Rybinsk on the 23rd. A lot of the big names give that a miss as well, Mike, so it could well be a couple of weeks before some of these men get back into action. The Russians will be in Rybinsk, no doubt about that. We'll see Belov there. Remember the women's final leg a little later on today. Third place, Yevgeny Belov of Russia. His 6th time on the podium, his 4th time in runners-up position. Nice to see him smiling. He's annoyed some of the Norwegian camp with his advertising of the race bib throughout the races, and some have questioned his tactics, but Northug finishing second, he knows that is a really good effort. There's no match for this man. Martin Jonsrud Sundby. He can freestyle, he can classic, he can sprint now. He showed us in Val Moster that he is no slouch, finishing on the podium in the sprint event, but on the uphill climb, he's not untouchable, but he's good enough to hold off anyone else who's around him. He's probably, 10 kilos lighter than Petter Northug, and that probably accounts for 30 seconds of the margin.
It probably does.
So Sundby, Northug, Belov on the podium for the Tour de Ski 2015. Already, there are many looking forward to the next edition. Well, it's a great trophy, and one which will be displayed proudly on Sundby's mantelpiece, no doubt. He's got a few already. Now, let's just have a reminder of the programme. The women's free 9 kilometre, it is, of course, up the same course. That starts at 12:15 UK time. So we're starting in just under half an hour's time for that women's climb. And then we go back to the alpine skiing with, of course, Matt Chilton in Adelboden. And then biathlon, the mass start a little later on for the men. Their second mass start of the season, taking place in Oberhof, of course. Mike, your final thought on today's race?
Just so impressed with the attitude from Sundby. Whether he's tired, whether he's had a bad day, he will keep on fighting. He'll realign his strategy, and a second victory in a row is amazing.
So well done to Sundby. Well done also to Northug and Belov. Final word for Andrew Musgrave into the top 20 of the Tour standings. He started a little bit quick today and faded in the closing stages, but he has still achieved a lifetime best, getting into the top 20. Absolutely brilliant from him.